1 Kings chapter 3. Sermon 1 by Paul C. Jong. A heart that fears God is greater than human wisdom. 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 1 through 15. Now Solomon made a treaty with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married Pharaoh's daughter. Then he brought her to the city of David until he had finished building his own house, and the house of the Lord, and the wall all around Jerusalem. Meanwhile, the people sacrificed at the high places, because there was no house built for the name of the Lord until those days. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father David, except that he sacrificed and burned incense at the high places. Now the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" And Solomon said, "You have shown great mercy to your servant David my father, because he walked before you in truth, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with you. You have continued this great kindness for him, and you have given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king instead of my father David. But I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Therefore give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours?" This speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. Then God said to him, "Because you have asked this thing, and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding, to discern justice. Behold, I have done according to your words. See, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before you, nor shall any like you arise after you. And I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be anyone like you among the kings all your days. So if you walk in my ways, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days." Then Solomon awoke, and indeed, it had been a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, offered up burnt offerings, offered peace offerings, and made a feast for all his servants. This time the workers gathered, labored together, and went back today. This week we will lay bricks, and next week we will raise the roof. We should work diligently while we can. We are building a basement of about 56 square meters and a first floor of some 112 square meters. And being right next to the parsonage, it is convenient in many ways. The weather is very hot these days, so I hope you will all be careful of the heat. Today I would like to speak to you about Solomon. The text begins like this: Solomon made a treaty with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married Pharaoh's daughter. Then he brought her to the city of David, until he had finished building his own house, and the house of the Lord, and the wall all around Jerusalem. Solomon, whose very first step as king went astray, this Solomon became king, and he is one of those people who do not please my heart at all. After his father David died, he inherited the throne and formally became king. And the very first thing he did as king was to bring in the daughter of the king of Egypt and make her his wife. It was a rude and disappointing thing indeed. Had David been alive, he would have rebuked him severely. Having started out like this, how could things go well? This was Solomon's first step, and then he offered 1,000 burnt offerings at the great high place called Gibeon. God, who appeared in a dream and gave wisdom. Then one day Solomon dreamed a dream in his sleep. God appeared and said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" Solomon asked. "Give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil." God counted this admirable, and giving him wisdom, he spoke to him. He said he would give the wisdom and understanding Solomon asked for, and added, "If you walk in my ways, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days." What a great blessing that is! The wisdom revealed in the trial of the two women. Solomon's wisdom was outstanding indeed. Among the things that happened in the nation of Israel after this dream, there is an episode you all know well. A woman smothered her child to death in her sleep, and when she woke up and found her child dead, she secretly switched him with the living baby of the woman beside her. Little babies are hard to tell apart. So she brought the living child over, as if he were her own. A quarrel broke out with the woman whose baby had been taken, and the two women came to King Solomon to be judged. King Solomon listened carefully, but there was no telling whose child he was. So he told them to divide the child in half, and each take a share. Then one woman cried out, "Give this child to that woman. Please, only do not divide him." Seeing that Solomon handed down the verdict, "That woman is this child's mother." Solomon's wisdom swept over the whole nation, and though there were many wise men in the surrounding nations as well, Solomon surpassed them all. Wisdom without the fear of God is of no use. But what good is much wisdom? What use is the wisdom found in a man who does not fear God? It ends up being used rather to oppose God. So it is of no use at all. Even among those who believe in the Lord, having a quick head, being good at improvising, and being full of clever schemes amounts to nothing. The precious person is the one who has the fear of God in his heart, who desires to believe in God and follow him by faith, and who seeks by faith the benefit of the kingdom of God, not the one who has much human wisdom and intelligence. There are many smart people in this world, but that alone is nothing. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Did not Solomon himself say this? He said, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge," Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. However much one knows, if he does not fear God, it is of no use. It would have been far better if Solomon had known much less, but had asked God what his command was, and followed it with that whole heart. Because he was rather clever, he brought in women from many surrounding nations, made them all his wives, and enjoyed everything. Solomon was a man who knew every field. Looking at a single plant, he knew what flower it was, in what country it grew, what climate suited it, and in what month it bloomed. Only, such a person does not always suit our temperament. It would be nice to give the answer first, simply, and then add an explanation if needed. But if one sets the answer aside and rambles on with side branches, the listener forgets even what he asked. It is not just me. There are many who prefer short, direct answers. The Bible records the deeds of the kings just as they were. Solomon had this much wisdom. He was like a scholar who answered whatever he was asked, one thing after another. Had he been born in this age, He might have earned several doctoral degrees. But 1 Kings is a book that records the reigns and deeds of the kings just as they were. How each king became king and how he governed. What he did well and what he did wrong. Writing all this down in detail is precisely history. In that respect, Solomon was a king who truly went wrong. His record deserves to have a red line drawn through it. As for the 1,000 burnt offerings, that was a matter of obtaining offerings and presenting them. And people think it great that he offered as many as 1,000. But is it not what matters to do well to the end? From his very first step he broke all the commands of God. If he was the king of the nation of Israel, he certainly should have taken a wife from among his own people. Instead, he brought in the daughter of the king of Egypt and made her his wife. If war broke out with Egypt one day, could he turn his back on his father-in-law? So it was wrong indeed. These words are just between us, so please do not carry them outside. In fact, if I spoke this harshly about Solomon in front of ordinary Christians, I would be branded a heretic without their needing to hear anything else. What an ignorant man! How great a figure Solomon is! And yet he talks like that. That man is a heretic, they would say. But for Solomon, having much wisdom rather became a harm to him. He had no heart that fears God, and that itself was evil. Israel, which was leaning toward a nation of idols. So Solomon repeated such conduct and went on turning his nation into a nation of idols. Already in Solomon's day, Israel was leaning toward a nation where various idols were served and all kinds of religions teemed. How could such a nation be a proper nation, and would God have received the worship offered in that nation? So God appeared and admonished him, since up to that time he had not yet served idols in earnest. God said, "If you walk in my ways, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days." It is because Solomon does not please my heart that I am telling you this. A heart that fears God is greater than wisdom. In the end, this man went down the wrong path. Having much human wisdom is nothing. Fearing God comes first. The best person is the one who, though lacking, believes in the gospel of the water and the Spirit, settles this gospel in his heart, holds fast that there is no other salvation besides this, follows God, who has given us this salvation, walks as the Lord leads, and follows the Lord with the faith that he will receive all the blessings the Lord gives. This is the point I am speaking to you about today. Today the weather is very hot, and some of you are tired from coming and going a long way, so I will keep the message short. When the heat is severe in summer, do not overexert yourselves and take good care of your health. If you stay long in a sealed room with a fan or air conditioner blowing, the air does not circulate, and it puts a great strain on the body. There are even cases where someone blocked the outside air completely, left only the fan running, and lost his life, suffocating in his sleep. So do not let the fan blow directly on you, but let the air circulate and stay cool. I hope you all get through the summer in good health.